Welcome to Politicking, where we break down everything you need to know about the 2024 election. Trust me, there's a lot. This is our first episode, so if you're here, you're right on time. I'm Anaya Isaacs, and I'll be guiding you through this wild political season with a passion for facts, insight, and a dash of humor. I'm excited to kick things off with a deep dive on the September 10th debate between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. Let's unpack this debate to see what it really means for our upcoming election. Let's start with those opening statements. This debate wasn't just a rematch between Harris and Trump. It was Harris coming forward to prove that she's here to stand on her own 2 feet. As they walked out, Harris strode across the stage and approached Trump with a handshake. This was the first handshake in 8 years. She said, "Let's have a good debate." Trump responded back with, "Yeah, let's have fun."
I'm sorry, that's true to form Donald Trump.
It just speaks for him.
Man, listen, let's go for it.
Trump spent the majority of the debate not looking directly at her, where she spent the debate laughing at the many crazy things he said. One of her opening lines that really set the tone of the debate that night was, "You're not running against Joe Biden. You're running against me."
Which is interesting because if you've noticed since Biden dropped out of the race, and I remember we did a podcast, the Recess Bell podcast episode on that, right after that happened, Trump is kind of, for lack of a better phrase, kind of been on Biden's jock. I know he's still the president, but you're running against Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris is your adversary. She's going to be your adversary all the way to November. So all this talk about, it's kind of giving off the vibes of that ex that got away. I think Trump had a feel. Yeah, exactly. Trump had a feeling that he had an upper hand kind of over Biden because we saw that first debate. Remember, this is the second debate. This is the first debate between Kamala and Trump, which is obviously paramount. But that first debate, it was not looking good for Joe Biden. So I think Trump, he kind of misses that feeling of especially after what I feel like, in my personal opinion, I know we try to, just give the facts. Just my opinion, I think that Kamala had a resounding victory in the debate, I feel like.
I agree.
Yeah.
I definitely think that he at first felt like he had the upper hand against Joe Biden, which is why
that man.
The Wattpad stories go insane. But he did feel like he had an upper hand against Joe Biden, and that is why he requested for a second debate. But those opening lines, they really had some punch. And Harris, she set her intentions out on the floor. But let's get into the policy breakdown, because that's where things get interesting. This debate dove right into the key policies. Harris emphasized her stance on reproductive rights, her economic plan, and gun ownership, making it clear that she's pro-gun, and so is Tim Walz, and that she doesn't plan to take anyone's guns away.
And then this business about taking everyone's guns away. Tim Walz and I are both gun owners. We're not taking anybody's guns away, so stop with the continuous lying about this stuff.
This is a bit of an unfortunate turnaround for the expectation in this election. Harris hit on some of her signature policy, including the child tax credit and assisting first-time homebuyers. One of the most intense moments of the night was when Trump threw out completely false claims that Democrats support abortions up to the 9th month.
Would you veto a national abortion ban if it came
Well,
to
I
your
won't
desk?
have to because, again, 2 things. Number one, she said she'll go back to Congress. She'll never get the vote. It's impossible for her to get the vote.
Would you support any restrictions on a woman's right to an abortion?
I absolutely support reinstating the protections of Roe v. Wade.
You should ask, will she allow abortion in the 8th month, 9th month, 7th month?
Come on.
Okay, would you do that? Why don't you ask her that question?
Why don't you answer
That's
the
problem.
question, would you
because
veto?
Under Roe v. Wade,
Answer the question, would you veto?
You could do abortions in the 7th month, the 8th month, the 9th
That's
month,
not true.
and probably after birth.
This claim was immediately fact-checked and debunked. She called him out on that, and rightfully so.
We was all thinking and watching it. And it's kind of those things where Trump had a few things, which I'm sure we'll get into, where he just blurted out stuff either he said verbatim he saw on TV, We all know which one that is. I'm not going to jump into that one right now, but I mean, abortions in the 9th month is that's insane. I don't think anybody in their right mind, unless they're a sick, twisted human being and they're a sociopath, whatever, support that. So that didn't even make sense. So yeah, they had to jump on him with that. That was crazy.
Clocked for misinformation, and as they should. I don't blame them, honestly.
9th month. Yo, come on now.
Like, can we just stick to the facts, please? But
I think my thing is abortion in the 9th month, that's basically considered murder.
That's genuinely, and you'll have some people that are very pro-life that'll say, oh, but their talking point is once the fetus is formed, then. But I mean, we talking about, yeah, you're right, 9th month, that's.
Yeah.
What you talking about?
Baby's right there, like.
Yeah.
Boy or girl, they ready to come out.
Yeah,
So-
that's, bro. Man, listen.
I can't believe he said that with a straight face.
And it's interesting because this project is just going to give the facts, and we all have our political opinions as anybody else. I just find it funny that as we're trying to give the facts of the matter, we already are sounding anti-Trump, but that ain't our fault, yo. Like certain things he was just, I don't know, certain things he was just rambling on and blurting out, and it was very, very interesting talking points where I'm curious where he got them from.
Well, like I've said in the past, I believe I've said it on another Recess Bell show, I was just like, aside from him being president for that one term, there was no political history. But
Right.
what he did was he basically sold, because he was a businessman before that,
Yeah.
he sold a lot of people on, getting his, like, voting for him, basically. So it's just like, he's not he's not political at all.
No.
He's not. And it's clear that you can see that. He's up there, he sounds like a businessman.
Exactly.
He's just trying to sell. That's all he's trying to do.
But America is a business.
It is. That's the interesting thing, and I think some people or a lot of people, considering the 2016 election, a lot of people had that mindset of like all the people I talked to that was voting for Trump in a time where I was very averse to the idea, just because this man said grab him by the pussy, like that was crazy. I didn't want like voting for a man to be president, because growing up you have this view of be presidential, be buttoned up, be PC, right, quote unquote PC. But what people would tell me in response is that, no, I mean, you should look at the economy, look at this, look at that. It'd be nice to have a change of pace businessman in there. So with that being said, I do wonder how many of those same people feel the same way, because I feel like Trump is doubling down on a lot of what we've seen the past 2 elections. But, I mean, this debate in particular, before I even continue, I found it funny that Kamala HQ on X, they said, oh, hey, here's our newest political ad, and they posted the entire debate. The entire debate. That's their political ad. Like, that's how resounding a victory was for Kamala.
And I think that was really what the purpose of the debate served, was to give independent voters and people who are on the fence about Kamala a chance to hear her out. But my question to you guys is, did you feel that this debate, her performance here, made her stand out as her own candidate, or was she overcompensating? And I actually wanted to bring your attention to one of the things that she mentioned, which was that her and Tim Walz are gun owners, and they don't have any reservations about taking guns from people. And I bring this up because of the topical and the emergency of it to schools and to youth, being that there was just another extremely heartbreaking school shooting that took place about 2 weeks ago.
And you say that, and it's crazy, because if this is at all possible, I feel like the one that just took place kind of flew under the radar. And it goes to show you how much of I think the whole gun control situation, I get it. And when you go by the Constitution and the amendments, everyone has the right to bear arms, but I'm sorry, these school shootings, the fact that so much of the conversation has been about take them away, don't take them away, do a vetting process, don't do a vetting process, tighten the laws, don't tighten the laws. It's like kids are dying across these schools, and I feel like my Citizen app, I just had a notification earlier in the week like, oh, 3 schools had to lock down or face emergency. And I'm like, admittedly, myself, I was just like, that's crazy for like 5 minutes and then kept my day pushing. And it should not be like that. So it's curious. I just wanted to say that. But as far as Kamala standing out as her own candidate, and there were moments where I thought she did a really good job of that. Like she said on multiple occasions, and you already brought up the first time she did that, you're running against me, not Joe Biden. Trump tried to push that narrative, especially towards the end of the debate where he was saying, oh, you're going to wake Joe Biden out of bed and you're going to do this and you're going to do that. But I thought, as far as my answer to that, I thought Kamala did a good job overall, establishing herself as her own candidate, not as some pawn that's put out there by the Democratic Party. Despite Trump's best efforts, there were some moments, which I'm sure we're going to get to, where it did not seem like that. But I thought overall, if her goal was to establish herself, and look, it's me, Kamala Harris, look at me, and Tim Walz, obviously, and not just a pawn or a continuance of Biden, I thought overall she did a good job. I think I give her like a B in that regard. Could have been better, but I think she got her job done ultimately.
Yeah, I mean, with, gun control and school shootings and everything, the most notable one recently was in Georgia in Appalachian High School.
Yeah.
Or no, it's high school.
Right. Yeah.
And it was a 14-year-old, and I believe he had an AR-15, if I'm not mistaken.
That was gifted to him by his father.
So this is the thing. This is the problem that I have with it, right? You allow these people to, it's cool if it's a handgun or whatever. Like, you want to protect your house. But when you allow, like, civilians to get these military-grade weapons, what's the reasoning for that? Like, why do you have an AR-15?
It's. I think we both let out a deep sigh, me and Anaya, at the same time. It was like in sync because it's obvious that it's wrong, but you can't get into the minds of some of these families and some of these people. I know, just going and growing up on Long Island for a lot of my life, a lot of these people do go hunting. That's a big part of their family culture and life. So, I mean, if that's your prerogative, so be it. But if you go hunt, damn it. Like, animals, whatever.
Yeah, animals. Don't hunt for people. Don't go out here and kill innocent people. And this is the thing, with Harris, she basically said, obviously what she said about her and Walz, with, them being both gun owners. I feel like she was trying to persuade the Republican vote. But at the same time, you're kind of staring away from the Democratic vote. And I just don't think that's smart. I don't truly believe that's smart.
Now, Erik raised a great point, and this feeds into something I wanted to mention, where it's Kamala, at times, I did feel like she was trying to establish herself as, this is going to sound crazy on its face, but bear with me, like a better Republican candidate than Donald Trump. Yeah, exactly. If that was one of her goals, then she definitely did that. But as far as Erik said, especially that, and then the Israel-Palestine series of questions and the exchange we're going to get to, she achieved that goal. But as far as the young vote that obviously, is eager to see Palestine free and see that terrible situation there come to an end, and as well as the people that just want to see their school stop being shot up and want a safe place for their kids, and obviously everyone wants a safe place for their kids, but they want those gun laws tightened up, and really, like, we need some real restrictive measures so that Colt Gray was his name that did the shooting we're talking about. That more Colt Grays, when they're getting bullied in school or whatever, don't just decide to blow up and shoot up the school.
And I think there's so many questions that are left to be answered. Colt Gray actually was investigated by the FBI over claims of shooting up a school about a year before this event took place. And after that questioning, his father then bought him the AR-15 gun. And I agree to your sentiment with, why are these military-grade weapons being allowed to people who are minors outside of the appropriate context? And And it should be noted that he actually was 14 years old. He was a ninth grader. This occurred within the first 2 weeks of the school year, which first 3 weeks of the school year, he had only been in the school, transferred in the school for 2 weeks and had not actively attended classes. And this was, at the time, that was his second day of school. So
I have no words for that. I'll keep my thoughts on that private.
It goes so it's so deep. There's so many things to be addressed, but I don't see that coming from the Democratic Party nor the Republican Party. This has happened time and time again, to the point where we are left with the question of not where, but when.
But this is kind of like the messed up part about it. America is really the only place where you see these school shootings and stuff like that.
My thoughts exactly.
And the only reason for that is because of the gun control. Because in other countries, say in Europe, they walk around with knives in London. They can't even carry a gun. They can't own a gun. You gotta have some type of control with it, right? But another thing is, it's sad that, there's certain kids that will ask their parents, like, I don't want to go to school today. Do I have to go to school today? Because they're afraid that they might walk into that school and they won't walk out. And I saw something last night on TikTok, and it was just like how this mother was trying to teach her 7-year-old daughter how to really play dead.
I think I may have seen that.
And that's just sad. Like, why do kids have to do that? Why can't kids be kids? You can't go to school and be safe anymore. And me, I experienced a hard lockdown in school, in high school. Now, being that I'm from Queens, right? Nobody in that classroom really took it serious. But then
No.
we was kind of like laughing and joking, but at the same time, I kind of had that fear in my heart, like, okay, if something goes down, I gotta, be quick on my feet or whatever, right? I'm still, thinking in the back of my head. But, at the end of the day, good thing it was a fake gun or whatever, but they handled the situation and they let everybody out of school early. I didn't even go to school the next day. That's how serious it was. Yeah. So, I mean, there has to be some type of gun control. That's all I can say about this.
And I thought, Kamala, to answer your original question, overcompensating a little bit. I will say that she was. And it wasn't the first time either in this debate, or only time, I should say.
I agree. Which brings me to my next focus of foreign policy and the impending issue of Palestine and Israel. The exchange over Palestine and Israel was one of the key moments of the debate, really, for young watchers at home. And I feel that Trump really seized the opportunity to challenge Harris on her support for Israel, claiming that under her leadership, Israel would cease to exist. And although that is extreme, she vehemently ran to defend this claim, stating that that's absolutely not true, that she supported Israel her whole entire career and life. That stuck out to me. I feel that many people and the general public feel really, really different about what is taking place. The ongoing issue, the ongoing conflict in Palestine, which many see as a genocide, is causing frustration with both candidates, really. Harris's stance did not resonate at all with the part of the electorate, and Trump found an opportunity to capitalize on that, aligning himself against her, really. Let's talk about that for a second. Trump and Harris, they both gave some heated views on Israel and Palestine. Trump aiming at Harris, accusing her of undermining Israel's security, while Harris doubled down in her support of Israel, verbatim, that she supported Israel her whole life. This isn't something I've seen in the headlines, in the TikTok think pieces. But here's the thing. A larger part of the younger generation on TikTok and majority of the general public is really outraged on how both candidates are handling this. It's one of the defining global issues right now on a major scale. And the disconnect is real, especially to the youth. Trump, while pushing this narrative of Kamala being a threat to Israel, is tapping into a certain audience, not gonna lie. Meanwhile, Harris defending her record seems out of touch with the audience she's intending to be accepted by. That younger crowd is looking at the situation through the lens of human rights and nothing else. Do y'all think Kamala's approach is what we need? Or is she stepping the line and doing a little bit too much to save face and cater to both sides?
Well, before I give my thoughts on anything regarding Israel and Palestine and Hamas and Gaza and all of that, saying that you in response to Trump really putting that pressure on her, which I thought this moment was a clear win for Trump, in my opinion. I thought that you really got to press the issue because that's one of the topics and issues where she's weakest on. So Trump really applied the pressure, and it's like, okay, how are you going to respond? And Kamala jumping out the gym, because she jumped out the gym, like she crashed out. She was like, I've devoted my entire career and life.
Yeah.
Your life?
That was a lot.
Your career and life to Israel.
Being that
Word?
this debate comes with the understanding that this is not only the first female president, but the first female minority president. And that's been a really big part of her strategy in general and leveraging that. So for that not to be your background, it brings the question of why have you felt the need to defend Israel? Why are you feeling the need to defend Israel? Why did you feel the need to defend Israel your whole life? That's not really your origin.
Great question to ask. Like, it's interesting and it's funny when the question was starting to get asked, and some people in one of my group chats was like, "Watch, she gonna bring up October 7th, the Hamas attack where nearly 1,200 people was murdered, people were raped, kidnapped," and people was like, "Watch, the first thing she gonna do is bring up October 7th." And then live as it happened, those were from the first word she spoke, October 7th. And we was just like, oh, okay. So she made it clear from jump, like, okay, what her take was going to be. She's going to try to play it right down the middle as well as she can. And then Trump, I think, seeing that, well, again, this was one of the stronger moments of the debate. He said, well, no, let me turn the temperature up, see what you do. So, yeah, I thought that as far as being out of touch with the younger audience, younger crowd and younger voting base, I definitely think that's the case because, like you said, we were just talking about the gun control laws. Like, I mean, it's funny. I've always grown up personally as somebody that, I don't want to say I'm a bleeding heart, but if this is bleeding heart material where I don't want to see kids get shot up in schools and I don't want to see people just getting murdered, mass murdered in a conflict overseas, like, so be it. Innocent people. Like, if I'm a bleeding heart for that, so be it. I'll be that. Fine. Whatever. You got me. But, yeah, I just think that she's trying to play it right down the middle because there is a large base in this country that are very supportive of Israel's role in all of this. And I think that Kamala, in prioritizing that base, she continues to just chip away and chip away and chip away. Like, I see more and more people on my social media. Like, okay, I think one friend of mine, actually had the take of, given her previous comments on Israel Hamas, like I was already out on her. And now she's just like digging the grave deeper for herself. Like, people really are not cool with what they view as a genocide. And all this talk about when you have that opinion and Kamala jumps out with we want a two-state solution. Two-state solution for what many view in our age group and demographic as a human rights violation? Nah, we're not rolling with that. A lot of us aren't rolling with that. That's my opinion.
And I agree. I think that it's playing it down the middle and trying trying to save face for both sides is not going to work here. There needs to be definitive action of what steps are going to be taken, although this is not something happening on our soil. But here is where it gets interesting, because these candidates are making all of these promises, and the question is, how is this being funded? What's missing from both of their platforms is any mention of the two wars that are currently taking place in other countries. They can continue talking about building a border and doing things within our country to see some of the conflict going on. But the question is, where is all the money coming from for this? When we have this massive military budget, and both candidates are conveniently avoiding discussing that. That in hand with the fact that a lot of Americans are struggling right now.
I was just about to bring that up. The way the economy is, like, and you said it perfectly. The way it is now, like, just going through day to day and owning a small business myself, I'm increasingly getting to the point where, if y'all using any more of my taxes for something that is not really happening directly in my purview, then we gonna have a problem. Like, I'm curious to know how you feel about that, but that's where I am. Like, yes, we all know we're a million, trillion, billion. That's not an actual number. Don't quote me. So that's we in debt. This country's in debt, and everybody is under some type of financial stress. Like, everybody, if you middle class and below, you're under some type of financial stress. So yeah, both candidates need to step up. I know I mentioned this. I doubt, given how Trump has responded, there's going to be another debate before Election Day. It's looking not likely, right? So that's unfortunate, because I would love to have moderators and people follow up and be like, yeah, where are y'all getting this bread from?
Mm-hmm.
I'll be damned if it's any more of my tax dollars.
Mm-hmm. I think there's a bit of like cognitive dissonance when it comes to both candidates, honestly. I don't ever see money being something addressed, because nobody's gonna vote.
Do you feel like that's exactly where I was gonna come at this question with you too. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like the way everybody's struggling, like I said, the majority of the country's struggling, do you think either candidate knows if they say the wrong thing or slip up on how some of these goals are going to get done financially? Like, I think they're going to lose like a real chunk of their potential voters. That's why they're like, I'm not even going to step near.
Not even going to say anything.
Yeah.
It is sensitive. Absolutely. It's really sensitive. However, I can only see it through my lens. And as a minority female, I have empathy for Kamala Harris. Although I have my complaints and I have my stance, I feel that at the end of the day, that really only applies, that feeling or that theory, that assumption would only apply to her. I mean, Donald Trump got on the stage and was asked about his plan to combat something that he's been fighting for 9 years. And his response to that was, well, I have concepts of a plan.
Obamacare was lousy health care. Always was. It's not very good today. And what I said, that if we come up with something, and we are working on things, we're going to do it and we're going to replace it. But remember this. I inherited Obamacare because Democrats wouldn't change it. They wouldn't vote for it. They were unanimous. They wouldn't vote to change it.
So just a yes or no, you still do not have a plan?
I have concepts of a plan. I'm not president right now. But if we come up with something, I would only change it if we come up with something that's better and less expensive. And there are concepts and options we have to do that. And you'll be hearing about it in the not too distant future.
When the conversation turned to election integrity, things got tough. Trump continued to really live in his delusion of voter fraud and really denying January 6th.
And by the way, multiple times refused to answer the actual question that David Moore asked, which was, have you changed your mind on saying that? Or anything regarding January 6th. He just danced around the question and went to fracking and all this stuff. Just wanted to point that out.
fracking. But yeah, completely lost the plot. Trump then went on to make insane comments about Harris's race and identity. And of course, that was met with criticism.
I want to move on now to race and politics in this country. Mr. President, you recently said of Vice President Harris, quote, "I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black." I want to ask a bigger picture question here tonight. Why do you believe it's appropriate to weigh in on the racial identity of your opponent?
I don't, and I don't care. I don't care what she is. I don't care. You make a big deal out of something, I couldn't care less. Whatever she wants to be is okay with me.
But those were your words, so I'm
I
asking.
I don't know. I mean, all I can say is I read where she was not black, that she put out, and I'll say that. And then I read that she was black, and that's okay. Either one was okay with me.
That was extremely disrespectful. I felt like she deserved an award for her ability to maintain composure. She then went on to use this as an opportunity to dig into Trump's history.
Honestly, I think it's a tragedy that we have someone who wants to be president who has consistently, over the course of his career, attempted to use race to divide the American people. You know, I do believe that the vast majority of us know that we have so much more in common than what separates us, and we don't want this kind of approach that is just constantly trying to divide us, and especially by race. And let's remember how Donald Trump started. He was he owned land, he owned buildings, and he was investigated because he refused to rent property to black families. Let's remember, this is the same individual who took out a full-page ad in the New York Times calling for the execution of 5 young black and Latino boys who were innocent, the Central Park 5. Took out a full-page ad calling for their execution. This is the same individual who spread birther lies about the first black president of the United States. And I think the American people want better than that, want better than this.
She cited Trump's comments on Obama's birthplace, which he's gone on to say that Obama was not born in the States. Time to delegitimize his attempt at presidency. She then went on to cite and mention how during the case of the Central Park 5.
Yeah, I mean, when you go into just Trump's history on race, and it's funny he said now during the debate, "I don't care what she is." That's a direct quote. I just find it funny that at the National Association of Black Journalists in Chicago, he was singing a completely different tune, because before that event, he was talking, mind you, the optics of a white man speaking on a black woman's racial identity is very crazy. And he was way too comfortable doing so, because he was talking she identified as Indian all this time. And now, because it suits her, she's a black woman. And I find that curious on multiple fronts. Kamala Harris went to a HBCU, a historically black college and university. So she's clearly, you don't do that if you're not you're shying away from your blackness. It's just not something, oh yeah, I'll consider myself black, but you know what, I'll go to this historically black college.
Right.
Sidebar, some do. Some do,
but you know, it's rare cases sometimes. Like usually, you know, you go to these HBCUs and you see, you know, our people, right? So why would she go to a HBCU if she didn't identify herself as black? Especially back then, like if you look at pictures of her back then, you could tell that she was taking in the fact that she was black and she loved her race and who she was.
Right. And it's interesting the question that Trump comment raises too, because y'all are right about that. That how much does being a black woman help her presidency, her candidacy? I wonder about that. I'm not going to speculate on that too much, but I mean, from Trump's history with that to making false claims repetitively, and it doesn't matter that they've been proven false multiple times and that they've been fact-checked. Oh, Barack Obama wasn't born here. His middle name is Hussein. It's just reckless. And he did that throughout the 8-year tenure for Obama in the Oval Office. So that's one thing. The Central Park Five, and I know I know a lot of people are too young to remember, but this white woman was attacked and assaulted, and these 5 black men were the prime suspects, and they were put through hours and hours and hours of starvation and thirst and questioning, and Trump was really in the media pushing that narrative, not knowing a lot of facts about the case, saying, "Oh, because," and again, I really tried to be careful because some people have very questionable talking points. I don't just want to call them anything, but I mean, those were borderline racist talking points about, okay, he was really in the press doing this stuff and really promoting the fact that, oh, these 5 black men must have done this. They've been exonerated, and it's been well documented that they've been exonerated. And I think about that because his comments about it's ridiculous. It's with Trump. It's funny because he's a funny guy. I'm not gonna lie. Like, Trump makes me laugh whenever he speaks. Whenever he's on video doing something silly and it goes viral, I laugh. He's a funny guy, but I feel like that humor really takes away. Okay, so from the moment he said that Haitian immigrants in Springfield, Ohio, they're eating the cats and dogs, and he doubled down after the debate at a rally saying, "Oh, now they're eating the geese too. They just eating the geese. They ranging up the geese, and then they're I don't know, they're frying them up like some, I don't know, some chicken on the stove or something." I'm like, yes, that's funny because it's ridiculous, and that was fact checked right off bat. But I'm like, yo, like, we can't forget. It's borderline. It's borderline. At worst, it's borderline racist talking points.
Yeah.
Because you're just saying these immigrants are coming in and they're eating animals, and it feeds into the whole narrative. Oh, crime is up because of them, even though if you look up the statistics on that, it's really not true. Like, it just feeds into that, and it's very reckless. If it's not racist, then it's reckless.
Well, even with like the shooting of Sonia Massey, and his comments on that, basically, I think he said something along the lines of like how the cops would be prosecuted correctly or something like that, and they were doing their job. And your job as a police officer, you're supposed to protect and serve.
Yeah.
So we go back 4 years ago when George Floyd passed away. Look at what he did then. Like, he wasn't controlling the situation, and you had looters, a whole bunch of riots.
By the way, some of that happened in Tim Walz's backyard.
Yeah.
So that was a big talking point when Tim Walz got appointed the running mate for Kamala. Like, oh, you let those riots and those loots happen on your watch. And they were really trying to attack him, the Republicans, on that angle as well. I just wanted to point that out. But yeah, I just think that with Trump's history, and to sit up there and say, I don't care what she is, where clearly your history might suggest that you have an agenda to push based off comments even you made 2 months ago at the NABJ. So,
and with that said, Trump's history really sets the precedent for what he wants to do moving forward. And one of those big things that Trump is trying not to highlight, but unfortunately it's a stark movement for the Republican Party, is Project 2025. And this has been described as very detailed and destructive to what we know as citizens in regards to our freedoms. He's denied any collaboration with this, although it has been proven that he has attended meetings and is in cahoots with the individuals who support this and created it. In addition to that, Harris brought up Trump's 34 felonies.
Well, I think this is so rich, coming from someone who has been prosecuted for national security crimes, economic crimes, election interference, has been found liable for sexual assault, and his next big court appearance is in November at his own criminal sentencing. And let's be clear, where each person stands on the issue of what is important about respect for the rule of law and respect for law enforcement. The former vice president called for defunding federal law enforcement, 45,000 agents, get this, on the day after he was arraigned on 34 felony counts. So let's talk about what is important in this race. It is important that we move forward, that we turn the page on this same old tired rhetoric and address the needs of the American people, address what we need to do about the housing shortage, which I have a plan for, address what we must do to support our small businesses, address bringing down the price of groceries. But frankly, the American people are exhausted with this same old tired playbook.
Absolutely needs to be highlighted because I think many people have forgot about it throughout the discourse. Trump then alleged that without evidence that Biden and Harris are attempting to weaponize the DOJ to win this election, but not only to win this election, but to take control. It's beyond reality, honestly. Harris then responded saying that Trump is trying to use the DOJ as his own personal workforce to be really free from the things that he's doing.
Well, I will say that it's a fair point to raise from Kamala, considering what we've seen when Trump got elected in 2016, what happened with some of the Supreme Court justices that got appointed, and Roe v. Wade, being a thing that I never thought I'd see the day where it got repealed at all, but that happened under Trump's presidency. So there have been signs that would suggest that Trump would use the Department of Justice and certain things in his favor to help him out personally. So I think that's a fair point to raise. I think there's enough history with Trump to where it's not irresponsible to do. So that's all I'd say on that.
In regards to Roe v. Wade, Kamala Harris said that she would be reinstating this. I think that is a hard pull. It's a hard pull to make. But then Trump really just stuck to his talking points on what he's going to do for inflation and immigration, and adding another jab at Kamala for her Marxist ideals. But my question is, are either of these plans realistic? And are they just talking out of their necks to get these votes?
Well, in the history of all of presidency, presidents, they make these promises and everything, and they never fulfill to them. So this is expected, and, I personally don't listen to any of their plans because it's about what you actually do once you get into office. We actually got to see you do something. And Kamala Harris being vice president, she's had opportunities to do things for 3 years now. So not saying that she hasn't done anything. She's done things, which I can't really recall right now. But Trump was also in an office, and he's had the opportunity to, exert these plans as well. So it's honestly, from what we've seen from both sides and how, each candidate is viewed, we just got to see them in office at this point. Mm-hmm. I'm not listening to nobody's plans.
And that was a talking point for Trump. And when he made the whole connection with Kamala still being tied to Joe, and I've seen Elon Musk talk about this on his app X, where it's, if you want to change, they've been in office for 4 years and nothing changed, so what makes you think they're going to change now? And Kamala, in response, was saying multiple times, she started with this and she went back to it multiple times throughout the debate, where she said, with Trump, it's the same old plan, but here's what I'm going to do when I get in. But like Erik said, people still hold that belief, no matter how true it is or not, that, you've been in the White House, literally, in the Capitol for all these years, for 4 years, and we're not seeing much change. So that would be my thing.
There are things like checks and balances,
Absolutely,
which stop her from doing what she really wants to do at a personal level.
That's very true. We saw it throughout Obama's presidency as well. So
But outside of that, one thing that has been huge is the meme culture of all of this. What do you guys think about that?
You showed me a remix of Trump saying he gonna they eating the cats and dogs, and I kind of listened to it the other day, and I can't lie, I was in my room, I was kind of doing a little dance moves too. It was I can't lie, it was catchy. I can't front.
They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Eat the cat. Eat the cat. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Eat the cat. Eat the cat. They're eating the cats. They're eating the dogs. Eat the cat. 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 They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Eat the cat. Eat the cat. Eat the cat.
And ABC News did reach out to the city manager there. He told us there have been no credible reports of specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals within the immigrant community.
People on television.
Let me just say here, this is the
People on television said my dog was taken and used for food. So maybe he said that, and maybe that's a good thing to say for a city manager.
I'm not taking this from
But the
television.
people on
I'm taking it from
television
the
said
city
the
manager.
dog was eaten by the people that went there.
Again, the Springfield city manager says there's no evidence of that. Vice
We'll
President
find
Harris,
out.
I'll let you respond to the rest of what you've heard.
You talk about extreme.
Yeah,
It was
no.
cool. It was fun.
TikTok is definitely having a key over this, and Twitter is in a chokehold. That sound actually ended up on CNN.
Really?
Wow.
Yes,
I love it.
yes.
I love it.
But what do you think the memes are really doing here? Do you think we're just getting desensitized from the main point?
Yes, definitely. I will say unequivocally yes to that. But it's also funny that I remember I had to take when Kamala was named the new nominee in place of Joe Biden for this election. I was like, she is the more memeable candidate. She's the more memeable person, period, between Trump and Biden. Because the whole coconut tree stuff and, oh, you want something sweet? Go ahead, get something sweet. Like, she's very memeable. Like, it's effortless for her. So in terms of the younger vote, it's funny. I really wonder, because we're over here and we're criticizing her for her, down the middle approach to Israel Hamas. But I feel like there's some people that's like, you know what? She's funny. I see her on TikTok. I want something sweet too. I'm laughing. I think I'm going to vote for her in November. I think there are some people that come from it, whether it's right or not, from that standpoint as well. So I think, yes, it desensitizes a lot. But, I guess people just come from it too, solely from the place of entertainment. And it's like, you know what? She's funny. She got my vote. I think that's how a lot of people view it too. So.
Yeah, definitely, especially if you're younger.
Yeah.
You're not paying real attention to any of the debates or any of the rallies or anything like that. You're going to go on TikTok as a, say, fresh voter, as an 18-year-old, and you're going to go and see these things on, like, the memes and everything. You're going to be like, wait, hold on. Like you said, that's kind of funny. Like,
yeah, like
maybe
Meg Thee
she
Stallion
could-
popped out for her at
Yeah.
that Atlanta rally, and Quavo was there. Like, you know what? Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
The popularity vote, though.
Yeah,
But
that's.
it brings the question, is that what this is about?
I think a lot of it has become that, and again, whether that's right or wrong, so be it. But a lot of it has become that. I think if you go back, I think the 2016 election was a major shift. It didn't even happen when Obama was named the first Black president. It was a major shift when Trump won the election. Awful lot of popularity. Yes, a lot of dissent about how the country was being run at that time as well. And people that were upset with Obama being there. But I think Trump really changed the game, because now I have to listen to people like The Rock, Johnson, Dwayne Johnson, kind of float out there in the past, like, you know what? Maybe presidency will be my thing. And then I have to kind of take it serious, because, like, off popularity, you could kind of win. So I think that, yeah, it's definitely become a lot of meme culture, popularity, TikTok culture. But we'll see how much of an impact that has in November when it's really time to hammer down and vote.
Agreed. And for those of y'all that are wondering who we are and what we're doing here, we're just like you. We're voters, we're political junkies, and we are dedicated to the changes that are taking place in our nation. We're not just watching from the sidelines. We're analyzing. We have our feet and our hands in this. And trust me, there's a lot to unpack. So stay with us. Stay tuned to Politicking. On the Recess Bell, where we bring you facts, analysis, and humor. Thank you so much for your time. Hope to see you soon.
Springfield Police, Chief Clancy Wiggum speaking. How can I help you? People are eating dogs? What do you mean, like hot dogs? Oh, cats. Mr. Katz is eating hot dogs. No. People are eating dogs and cats. People are eating dogs and cats in Springfield. Are they good?